Hey everyone. Today I'm going to be talking about a movie I just saw, starring a bunch of fun actors. A very fun premise. The fact that it is a comedy film that I'm going to theaters to see, not one of those fun classic comedies that I want to watch regularly to call fun, hilarious fun. No, this time I'm actually going to see what new comedy film has to offer me. And sure, I do love doing that. Not always gonna go for the big epic films. Like if you think that my purpose is to see any movie that's epic, big box officey or big Oscar worthy, it's not really what I'm all for. I mean, I guess in a way it kind of is, but I'm also in for any other thing in between, like good old comedies, for example. That's one thing I love to go for. Some fun, silly, all over the place kind of films. This one is called Good Fortune. It is the story of angels who try to help humans out into giving them the life of wealth and the life of a poor man or such. It's a pretty interesting story to go with. It's pretty much like a body swap type of film. You know how body swap movies are. Two guys swap bodies, have to live their own lives, so they can't do that. That's kind of what this movie is. But it's different because it's got other stuff involved with it, like angels, and very fun new cast involved. We have this big trio of actors who are pretty fun actors to watch. There's good old Seth Rogen, who we all have seen before in many comedies. He's proven himself to be quite a fun actor. There's Aziz Ansari. I haven't really seen him too much in film. I mostly know him on TV, but from the times I have seen him on TV, he is pretty funny. I say he is a pretty fun actor too. And of course, good old Keanu Reeves. All for all sorts of kind of films. He's not just a comedic actor, he's a action star, drama, all sorts of stuff. And he's here in this movie too. This movie has all sorts of fun elements to it. I just want to see a good fun comedy that would make me laugh and give me enough entertainment to not just fall asleep or forget too much. So hopefully I don't forget too much. If I do, then it's sad. What do I think of this movie? Let me explain. So the three genres this movie has to offer is action, comedy, and crime. Not crime. I got mixed up. Action, comedy, and fantasy. That's right. I was thinking of. I'm talking action, comedy, and crime is a pretty fun trio. So that's why I made that mistake. Anyway, let's just talk about these three elements. The action. What is the action of this movie? It's very hidden, if I'm going to be honest. This movie's action is not as big as you think. You think like it's a movie where angels fight each other or humans fight each other. It's warriors and ninjas or such. Not necessarily. The meaning of action in this film is mostly just tragic situations, like car crashes that occur sometimes in the movie, or the overall rough experience that these characters have getting injured in ways. That's kind of what the action of this movie is like. It's kind of a weird kind of action flick. It's like I said, it's not an action movie in a way where they fight each other and such. It's just random practical nonsense. Characters falling over, crashing cars, just even getting shot at moments. Yeah, there's those kind of things. All that stuff sort of happens. I guess in a way it is fun to see a movie credit itself as an action flick when it isn't all about fighting and cool visual forms, but at the same time, if people are going into this movie thinking, wow, I can't wait to see a fun action flick finally, it's a pretty bad habit to have with this film. Still, it does have action, but just like not the kind of action you would expect from a movie that you would call an action film. It's a movie that features random bits of slapstick and kind of going all over the place, fantasy elements, a few unseen car accidents and such. There really isn't anything that would leave you excited action wise. Now, for the fantasy, let's talk about what that's about. This movie's fantasy element is just one thing: angels from heaven. And even then, you could say, "How? That's not fantasy. Angels are real. What are you trying to say?" Maybe they are. I'm probably still gonna offend people by saying maybe. Well, either way, this is a movie involving angels who have different jobs. Okay, you can't say that's unreal. Like different angels are given different assignments for who they are, who they need to target themselves with. And Keanu Reeves plays the angel whose job is to help people who are texting and driving. Yeah, no, that's literally what it is. This movie literally acknowledges that his job is to stop people from getting in accidents by texting and driving. That's what his job is. That's literally what the movie explains him for. It pretty much explains that there's a whole group of angels who each have their own job of what humans to help. And apparently at one point this angel loses its wings and becomes seen by everybody. At first no one could see him, but when he loses his wings, everyone can see him, and now he has to try to live a normal life, which he can't do because he's too joyful and heaven-like such. It's Keanu Reeves. It's just a nice guy like Keanu Reeves who doesn't want to live in a depressing life form, but has to and gets through it in silly ways. I don't explain too much for the plot. It's just the fantasy element. That's really what it is. It's angels who have this sort of rule set. There's no Jesus, there's no God, there's no other religious element to this movie. This isn't like one of those religious films if you're into seeing movies that take from the Bible. No, that's not really what this film is. It's angels who are essentially like have this own group, pretty much a group of angels who are each have assigned task, and Keanu Reeves decides to try to do more with himself instead of just his assigned task, which ends up getting him in trouble. So he loses wings, everyone sees him, and there he has to get him back so he can become a hidden angel again. That's what the fantasy of this film is. His having the power to connect to humans in a way. It's fun, nice little game. They explain every element pretty well. It's not like there's still questions on too much. I don't really have many questions about the logic in this. It's pretty simple. It's silly, but at least it makes sense. I guess it's a little weird that even after he loses his wings, everyone can see him. He still has sort of the magic angel powers. That part was a little confusing, but they don't overstimulate that too much. And so, yeah, that's really the only confusing thing about this setup. Other than that, it's just the whole setup of angels with their jobs. It's funny and a pretty nice, simple fictional setup for our characters to have. I think it was pretty nice. It's nice to watch. Now, time for the big deciding element, the comedy. How does this movie work as a comedy? Is it laugh out loud hilarious, or is it piss their pants terrible? Then it makes sense. It's right here. What do I mean by that? It's a moderately funny movie, which is actually a good thing to say. Moderately funny. A lot of the jokes this movie had did make me laugh. This movie didn't rely on futuristic kind of comedy. It's not one of those films that relies on Gen Z stuff. It's mocking the human lifestyle of the future. I mean, okay, yes, it does do that at times, so maybe that's false. But most of the comedy this movie offers is actually funny line deliveries. They don't rely too much on slapstick and random nonstop phone jokes. It's actually fun one-liners. This movie has a lot of funny one-liners. That's the kind of comedy I love seeing in movies, especially nowadays. One-liners, not relying too much on practical humor like piss jokes, poop jokes, fart jokes, all that. It's good to have those every once in a while. Those still can work for jokes. But the movie does actually take some time to let the comedy come from what the characters say. I mean, come on now. Every time the character says the line, those are the kind of comedy that's worth trying out. I think that's much better comedy to put together if you want to make a movie hold up nicely. Movies, the slapstick and the pooper, dirty jokes are fine to have. But it's good that this movie takes time to have jokes come from what characters say. And I like seeing that. Our characters just have funny line deliveries. There's random bits of dialogue that's just so random and silly. And I like seeing that in this film. Is there any slapstick or dirty jokes in general? Not entirely. There's hardly any bits of comedy in this film that are relying on slapstick. It's not one of those slapstick films where you'll get jokes from characters falling or getting shot or falling and such. I know I did just say when talking about action that that's what the means from the movie, but that's just what it means when they call this an action flick. As a comedy, there's not tons of slapstick in it. There's like one or two bits of this movie I remember being slapstick jokes. The rest were characters talking and having silly dialogue. I like seeing that. So if you're someone who enjoys comedies that rely on how funny the dialogue is, this is the kind of comedy to check out. I'll be honest, I'm impressed to see that in a comedy film nowadays. So I'll give the movie its credit. The movie was not laugh out loud hilarious. There weren't jokes where I was like, I'm creepy if I laugh like that. No, there weren't those kind of jokes that make this one of the funniest movies ever. But there were still good jokes, and I approve of that. Alright, so now let's talk about what the story of this movie is like, and how does it really work with the film's rating overall. The story of this movie, let's run it through simply. We have our main character, who is played by Aziz Ansari. Am I pronouncing that right? Probably not. If I'm pronouncing his name wrong, then God help me. Anyway, he's a struggling man. He works as a task boy, yet he doesn't get very good reviews. He lives in his car, he's not very successful and such. But then we also see an angel played by Keanu Reeves. He's playing an angel. We all seem to like to think of him as an angel, so that makes sense. Who apparently has the job of stopping people from getting in accidents by texting and driving. That's his job. His job in life is to prevent accidents from texting and driving. That's like what he's assigned to do. But this guy he meets, who also is a victim of texting and driving, he feels like he can do more with his job and decides to help the man out and try to give him more hope, try to do more with his angel life or whatever. So he tries to show him that he has a good future, but it doesn't work because he believes his future looks terrible, as he's living in a future where he has a struggling marriage and his dog has to die. We all know how Keanu Reeves would feel about that. It's not fun for him. Anyway, he doesn't like it, so instead Keanu goes for another approach, and by having him swap bodies with a rich man he met, played by Seth Rogen. They swap bodies. Is it like trading places where essentially the swapping of wives is essentially they slowly evolve into becoming their opposites? Like it's like the look changes with them to where Aziz eventually gets lucky enough to become rich, and then Seth eventually becomes unlucky enough to become broke. No, it's more like a Freaky Friday in that way, where he literally just has them all wake up in their different lives. So, like, instead of it being them switching bodies, it's not really a body swap comedy, it's more of a life swap comedy. Aziz is living Seth Rogen's life, except he's still him. And Seth Rogen is still his character, except his life is now Aziz's life. See what I'm saying? That's what he did. He tries to show him that the life isn't as great when he's rich and successful, but of course he just doesn't see it that way. He's able to work with it. Yeah, he does not have a single problem with the life. He loves it entirely. There's nothing that fails in it. And of course, Seth Rogen eventually gains his conscious of what happened, and now him and Keanu have to team up as a duo to try and fix things. Yep, they're the duo of this movie. And basically, Keanu Reeves loses his wings because his angel boss, finds out about what he's did and knows that he's just going to take away his wings until he can fix it. And without his wings, everyone can see him. That's the fantasy that I talked about earlier. And so yeah, now him and Seth Rogen are a duo. They have to try and stop all this, reverse the situation. But of course, Aziz doesn't want that. He loves the life. Nothing bad has caused him problems. The only minor thing is that his girlfriend that he had during his poor life ends up not really caring for him that much in his rich life, but he kind of shies away from that for the most part. That doesn't really affect him too much. More so, it's just the whole trying to get their lives back, and it's kind of two sides and everything. The story kind of falls in that area where the first half we seem to have a lot of focus on Aziz Ansari's character, as he's a struggling man who just needs success, and when he gets success, he doesn't see a problem with it. And then during the second half, they seem to put a lot more focus on Keanu Reeves and Seth Rogen's characters, as their characters show more focus by the second half, where Keanu has to live as a normal human. He has to get a job, he has to try and interact with humans, and of course his nice, wholesome, angel-like manner is hard for that. But he finds ways to make it work. There's literally scenes where he's doing mature, dirty things like having sex, taking drugs. It's not something you see an angel usually doing, but he does it, and it's fun. So how does everything get resolved? Because you know that by the end they have to switch back, right? Well, by the time it gets to that, how it goes, well, essentially, it's he gets shot. Yeah, Aziz shoots Seth Rogen. I kind of need to word that wrong. He shoots Seth Rogen by accident, and essentially, once they're hospitalized, they realize this is all taking a rough turn, and eventually they start to get more acquainted as friends till they realize once they become a happy trio, that's when they realize, okay, maybe it's time we do switch back. And so they do. Aziz finally realizes that even if his life's not perfect, whatever, they're friends now, so they gotta make it work. So they switch back at the end, they're all happy, and Keanu Reeves is back to being an angel. And that's how the story is. It's a fun structure, I'll be honest. There are faults here and there, some little filler bits here and there. It can get rough at times. Some moments aren't as fun as others. Some moments aren't as entertaining, or, like some moments just don't really have the kind of fun vibe you would want for a movie like this. But then there are other scenes that do have a fun vibe like this. And the structure that this comedy follows, I'm going to admit, is a structure I just love seeing in comedy movies. It's not the perfect comedy structure, but a structure like that is something I always enjoy going to. Nowadays, many movies I'm anticipated to seeing don't really have the kind of structure like that. It's normally big, intense, exciting moments happening and insanely emotional moments happening. This movie actually doesn't do that, and I'm kind of glad about it. Yeah, it does get slightly emotional, but barely to the point where it's super emotional. It doesn't go to any drama levels, and I'm proud of that. I think the story of this movie is pretty good at going in its right route. It doesn't take time to try and go for being way too emotional or being like way too over the top and insane. It just takes a simple path and following the idea of two lives being swapped and how they see through it. It's pretty fun seeing that this structure does not take itself too seriously entirely, but that at the same time does. That's kind of what I mean when I say I like the way the story is handled. It takes itself very seriously, but at the same time knows not to. It's like it'll follow the story in the right way. It won't try to show that it doesn't care, but at the same time, it's not going to take itself so seriously to the point where there's going to be moments that they want us to feel sad or they want us to really get into the emotions. We're not trying to do that. We're just trying to we're trying to relate to the characters at times. We're trying to enjoy the humor. We're just trying to get through this story to follow to see where it goes and how it ends. And I like that and because of that, the story doesn't have too many problems with it. It's not a perfect story, I'll admit. The plot does have some small little filler bits here and there, but I expect that for comedies. And I'm glad that this movie is still able to keep a consistent story with funny moments and important plot elements without doing too much drama and too much sad emotional stuff that we're just supposed to have a sad feeling of this movie or get another feeling of this movie other than comedy. Because that's what a lot of comedies do nowadays. They try to throw in other big dramas that we're supposed to feel for the most. Nowadays, when you want to go see any other big name comedy movie, comedy is sort of one of the side elements, and the big element is something else. Thankfully, I'm glad that this movie keeps comedy as its main element. Something I just feel like I want to see more in theaters these days. And I'm glad I got that with this movie. So, bottom line, overall, Good Fortune is a good movie. 7 out of 10. It's not any higher because, like I said, there are some faults in the plot. The action is kind of a stupid genre to see be splattered in this movie, and truth be told, there are not every joke lands. But the jokes that do land, I'm impressed to enjoy. And I think this movie overall is a fun watch. If you like comedies like I do, this movie's worth checking out. You're not going to adore it to death, but you are definitely at least going to be proud you got to see it. Hopefully, because I sure was. I was proud to see this movie. I was not going in with super high expectations, but I'm glad I was able to see something that I actually liked. It had good comedy in it, the story was fun, it was a unique little gimmick going for it. Even if there were filler moments in the plot, even if not every joke landed, even if the action was a silly touch, it's still a really good movie overall. So, not one of my favorites of the year, but it's one of those movies I'm glad I got to go see. And I hope more people will enjoy seeing it too, because let's be honest, when it comes to good comedy films, that's just something I think I want to see in theaters more. I want to go for more of that. I understand Marvel has to put out as many superhero movies as they want. We got to see all the big films with big budgets and big effects. I know that all those movies have to come out. But in between, can we just have more good comedies coming out too? That's all I ask for.